Hello. This is a reading from the autobiography of a yogi. I just scanned through it, and it's about the experience of Paramahamsa Ananda with Sri Yukteswar, a pretty interesting one. A few mornings later, I made my way to Master's empty sitting room. I planned to meditate, but my laudable purpose was unshared by disobedient thoughts. They scattered like birds before the hunter. Mukunda, Sri Yukteswar's voice sounded from a distant inner balcony. I felt as rebellious as my thoughts. Master always urges me to meditate. I muttered to myself. He should not disturb me when he knows why I came to his room. He summoned me again. I remained obstinately silent. The third time, his tone held rebuke. Sir, I am meditating, I shouted protestingly. I know how you are meditating, my guru called out. With your mind distributed like leaves in a storm, come here to me. Snubbed and exposed, I made my way sadly to his side. Oh boy, the mountains couldn't give what you wanted, Master spoke caressingly, comfortingly. His calm gaze was unfathomable. Your heart's desire shall be fulfilled. Sri Yukteswar seldom indulged in riddles. I was bewildered. He struck gently on my chest above the heart. My body became immovably rooted. Breath was drawn out of my lungs as if by some huge magnet. Soul and mind instantly lost their physical bondage and streamed out like a fluid, piercing light from every pore. The flesh as though dead, yet in my intense awareness, I knew that never before had I been fully alive. My sense of identity was no longer narrowly confined to a body, but embraced the circumambient atoms. People on distant streets seemed to be moving gently over my own remote periphery. The roots of plants and trees appeared through a dim transparency of the soil. I discerned the inward flow of their sap. I cognized the center of the empyrean as a point of intuitive perception in my heart. Irradiating splendor issued from my nucleus to every part of the universal structure. Blissful Amrita, the nectar of immortality, pulsed through me with a quick silver-like fluidity. The creative voice of God I heard resounding as Om, the vibration of the cosmic mother. Thank you.
That reading, thank you Anita, comes from the chapter An Experience in Cosmic Consciousness, which if you haven't read in the autobiography or if you haven't read recently, then try to read it again. The whole autobiography of a yogi, by the way, is available online for free, and you can also, of course, buy a print copy here. That chapter has awakened many spiritual seekers. As Swamiji explained, very seldom has an enlightened master described the experience of cosmic consciousness in so much detail, and also in English for the benefit of the most of the world, that originally in his own words in English, not translated. That reading is actually a shortened version of the whole experience which he describes. And afterwards, let me back up for a moment. And this brings us to today, which is Guru Purnima. Yoganandaji came to his own guru, Sri Yukteswar, and Sri Yukteswar gave him that experience. And so we see this is one of the main functions the guru provides for us. The disciple comes, the disciple is receptive, and the guru can then give. Does the guru just favor this disciple because he likes the way he's behaving, or this disciple because they're both from Bengal? Obviously not. The guru wants to give to everyone, but he can only give in their capacity, in our capacity to receive. And those who can receive more, he gives more, and we can all expand our own capacity. That's one of the major functions of meditation. Yogananda's own disciple, first disciple in America, Dr. Lewis, basically kept asking Yogananda, give me that experience, just like you wrote. Give it to me also. And Yogananda kept finding a way to avoid having to give a response or so on. Finally, he said, one day Dr. Lewis cornered me, so to speak, and said, okay, Master, now you have to give it to me. And Yogananda started to reveal some of the cosmic enormity to Dr. Lewis. And he said, if I gave it to you, could you take it? And Dr. Lewis said, no. It was too much. Even Yogananda, after this experience, at the end of it, he describes the breath suddenly rushed into his body, and he felt a pain almost past bearing, that he was limited to the body once again. A saint told him before this experience, if I gave you the cosmic experience now, you would burn as if every nerve ending were on fire. Meaning, at that time he was not yet ready. That is why we meditate so much. That is why we practice Kriya so much. That is why we chant so much. It is to make ourselves more and more ready. Luckily, it's not like an exam that you study for the board examination, and then after some years you take it and you either pass or fail, and that's the only proof you have that you put in all this work. There are endless daily rewards, momentary, moment-to-moment results for that expansion that we put in. And each time we expand a little bit, Divine Mother pours a little more bliss into our cup. One day, Yogananda Swamiji said to Master, help me to love you as you love me. Actually, he didn't say it out loud. He meditated and prayed to Yogananda, help me to love you as you love me. And the next day Yogananda met him and he looked at him and he said, how can the little cup hold the whole ocean? It has to expand to be as large as the ocean. And so expand that cup. And he was even referring to that in the talk that you just heard, that the little cup should become the eternal cup. He was speaking of the cup of our hearts. And so this is one of the reasons why we honor the gurus. Not only because of the exalted state that they have attained, and not only because of they reflect the divine consciousness in human form, in a form that we can understand. Even Arjuna asks Krishna, is it better to worship God with form or without form? And Krishna said, both are fine. But for embodied beings, form is easier. So why not? And so if Krishna has signed off on it, then I think it's very valid. It's practical. It's easy for us to envision a form. That's one of the beautiful things about Hinduism. All the different forms of God that are presented. And when I first visited my uncle in Kerala, he just very simply explained to me that, he said, you're from the West and you people think that India has many gods. And he said, yes, we do have many gods, but they are all one God. And that took me a while with my logical mind to comprehend, and then later I understood. Because God comes in so many forms. And in the Guru in particular is that vehicle through which he can transmit power and blessing to us. God comes to us through a Guru. And Yogananda said, and you can fight with him about that fact if you want. But he said, nevertheless, that is the fact. When people would pester him, why do I have to have a guru? Why can't I just achieve enlightenment directly? He just said, that's God's law. Ask him. Swamiji explained that the guru serves as a transformer to convert the high electrical current from the city mains down to where it can electrify the house without blowing it up. And that image of a house having an electrical explosion is not perhaps a difficult image to envision. In fact, we had several fires with our generator panel in the early days in Gorgon, so we got to experience what happens if the transformer is not quite doing its work. The disciple, in this case the genset, can't handle it. So we need that. But ultimately, the gurus come not for their sake. Not because they are wanting to come to a place where everyone will adore them, but where they can find people interested, willing, ready, wanting to attain that same freedom. And that's in honoring them on Guru Purnima. We should also be honoring our own highest potential. Not in an egotistical way, but because it is not the ego that gets liberated, it's the soul. But to say, I honor you who have achieved what I too will one day achieve. God bless you.